Coming up today, with Labour and management unable to settle their differences, the government says it will start working with the ruling party on an independent Labour reform bill. It's another fiery day at the National Assembly as the rival parties clash over a variety of sensitive issues during the annual government audit. Plus, in a cave, but before cavemen, scientists discover 15 skeletons in South Africa that are part human, part ape. Stay tuned for these stories and more. Hello, it's noon on Friday, the 11th of September. You're tuned in to our midday newscast here on Arirang TV. Thank you for joining us. I'm Mark Broome. We start with the government's push for labour market reforms, top of its agenda to revitalise the Korean economy. The nation's finance chief announced earlier that some unresolved issues will not stop the legislative process beginning next week. Kwon So-ah reports.
No more delays. Finance Minister Choi Kyung-hwan announced Friday that the government will push ahead with passing a labor reform bill after expressing disappointment regarding a related meeting the day before. A tripartite committee of government, labor and management representatives was given a deadline of September 10th to agree on lingering issues regarding the reform, but the meeting turned out to be fruitless. The committee decided on continuing discussion Saturday. However, the government claims further delays could make it difficult for the law to be passed this year.
What's needed at this point is for the labor side to put aside its vested interests for the sake of creating jobs for young people.
Minister Choi stressed the importance of solving the youth unemployment issue and alleviating problems related to non-regular workers through new reforms. The implementation of a wage peak system that would guarantee employment until retirement, but with lower wages after a specific age, should help boost these efforts. The two main issues of contention are whether to allow employers to terminate underperforming workers and unilaterally change rules of recruitment. Both are key measures labor unions strongly oppose. The finance minister also urged labor unions of big companies to refrain from walkouts demanding wage hikes, which are disrupting talks on the labor market revision. The government vowed to go ahead with legislative proceedings together with the ruling Hillary party next week and said any results from the weekend meeting will be reflected in the negotiations. Kwon So-ah, Arirang News.
The annual government audit is into its second day, with 11 parliamentary standing committees receiving reports from around 50 ministries and state agencies. Lawmakers plan to address several issues, including the scheduled reunions for war-separated families. That will be held next month, devising new election rules ahead of next year's general elections, and the recent fishing boat sinking off the country's southern coast. Lawmakers from the ruling Hillary party are continuing to focus on the nation's major internet portal selection and layout of political news. They claim the portals, Naver and Daum Kakao, are biased in favour of the opposition party. The main opposition New Politics Alliance for Democracy says the ruling party's claims are childish and accused it of trying to censor the portals ahead of next April's general elections. North Korea's targeted fire attacks along the heavily fortified demilitarized zone is causing a considerable amount of damage to South Korea's military outposts. According to a South Korean lawmaker citing data from the Joint Chiefs of Staff on Friday, Pyongyang carried out 6 fire attack operations at the DMZ last year alone. Now, North Korean troops deliberately set fires on the northern side with the express purpose of them damaging South Korean facilities on the other side of the border. Now, North Korea's fire attack operations in 2014 burned more than 34 kilometers of South Korea's military communications lines, resulting in more than $66,000 worth of damage. Now, Pyongyang's provocations continue in cyberspace as well, according to another lawmaker citing data from the Korea Electric Power Corporation. North Korea has attempted to hack into the KEPCO system 19 times over the past 2 years. The remains of more than 100 Koreans who were forced to labor during Japan's colonial rule will return to their homeland. The development is a result of 18 years of tireless effort by a local civil organization consisting of the victims' families and activists. The remains will be brought home via land and sea, crossing Japan top-down to trace the footsteps of the victims. Representatives from the organization are heading to Japan's northern island of Hokkaido today, where they'll begin collecting the remains that are scattered in different regions. A ceremony will be held for the victims at Seoul Plaza next Saturday. Korea's central bank has held its key interest rate steady at 1.5% for September. It's waiting to see what the Federal Reserve decides to do with US rates, and also for the dust to settle following the recent economic turmoil in China. Shin Se-min reports.
The Bank of Korea has frozen its benchmark interest rate at an all-time low of 1.5% for the third straight month as it gauges the economic impact of a possible rate hike by the U.S. Federal Reserve. The central bank said Friday that it's weighing the impact from Washington as well as from China. This as concern over China's financial and foreign exchange market volatility continues to rise following Beijing's recent devaluation of the yuan. The slowing of the world's second-largest economy had also been denting demand for Korean exports, which have been posting negative growth since the start of the year. The announcement comes less than a week before Federal Reserve policymakers decide whether to hike U.S. rates for the first time since 2006. Washington's potential rate hike has been putting weight on the Bank of Korea to consider doing the same. But some say the Korean economy is able to ride out a possible U.S. rate increase.
Korea's foreign exchange market and other macroeconomic factors are healthier than most other emerging markets, so there's no need for the BOK to make any knee-jerk reactions.
That said, experts are urging the Korean government to come up with contingency plans as external factors are posing greater uncertainties than any domestic variables. The central bank has been taking a wait-and-see approach following a rate cut in June that was aimed at lessening the economic fallout of the MERS outbreak. Since August of last year, the BOK has cut the key rate on 4 separate occasions by a total of 1 percentage point. Shin Se-min, Arirang News.
Electronic transactions in Korea amounted to nearly 60 trillion US dollars in 2014, a record high. According to data from the Financial Supervisory Service, 12 billion non-face-to-face transactions took place last year, amounting to 59.7 trillion US dollars. Now, this figure includes all online, mobile banking and ATM transactions throughout the country for a 12-month period. Such transactions have been increasing with the improved communications environment. Of all bank transactions, just 11.2% this June took place using tellers at bricks-and-mortar banks. The government is also planning to issue a permit to 1 or 2 internet-only banks by the end of this year. But a ruling party lawmaker says any company with sufficient capital and technology should be permitted to enter the market. Google has rolled out its new payments platform, Android Pay. It's going to be a rival to both Apple Pay and Samsung Pay. The system will allow users to make payments at more than 1 million locations in the United States. Kim Min-ji has more.
Google's Android Pay has become the latest to jump on the bandwagon. The new payment platform will be available on smartphones that have near-field communication capability, running on Google's KitKat 4.4 Plus operating system. Like rivals Apple Pay and Samsung Pay, Android Pay allows you to make payments with a simple tap on your phone once your credit card details are stored. Banks which will accommodate the service include Bank of America, U.S. Bank, and PNC, with Citibank and Wells Fargo set to join in the next few days. Google's latest move is expected to intensify competition in the mobile payment services sector as more companies encourage consumers to use their phones rather than plastic to pay. What's more, Samsung Pay is set to launch in the U.S. later this month. Since its launch in August, Samsung Pay has enjoyed success in Korea, with the company saying an average of 25,000 customers have used the service each day. And giving it advantage over Apple Pay and Android Pay, Samsung Pay uses magnetic secure transmission technology, which is similar to the magnetic strip on credit cards. This means it can be used at nearly every terminal that accepts credit cards. Although it remains to be seen whether Samsung Pay will be successful in the U.S., we won't have to wait long to see who will take up the reins in this thriving market, estimated to be worth $1 trillion by 2017. 김민지, Arirang News.
Now, some are hailing it as a discovery that could fundamentally alter the sense of who we are. 15 skeletons found in a cave in South Africa seem to provide evidence of an entirely new human-like species that no one knew existed. Son Jung-in reports.
In September of 2013, in a cave 50 kilometers northwest of Johannesburg in South Africa, scientists found the single largest set of fossilized bones of an ancient human species discovered on the continent to date. 2 years later, on Thursday, they revealed what they found after piecing together more than 1,500 fossil elements. Although its exact age is unknown, many presume it could be as much as 2.5 million years old. The researchers named the creature Homo naledi, meaning star, in honor of the rising star cave where it was found.
Well, we've discovered a new species of hominid within our own genus, the genus Homo. We've called it Homo naledi. It's a remarkable species like nothing we've ever seen before.
The fact the fossils are believed to be from more than a dozen individuals has led paleoanthropologists to hypothesize that the ancient species buried its dead, a uniquely human trait. Their limbs, small teeth, and hands also seem to be well suited for making basic tools. Interestingly, they also have ape-like features, including their shoulders and a similar-sized brain as a gorilla. This startling combination of ancient ape and human-like features was entirely unknown until now, posing interesting questions for scientists. Researchers say they will continue digging for more answers to many questions about the new human species. The findings were reported in 2 papers published in the online journal eLife. Son Jung-in, Arirang News.
The U.S. Department of Justice has defended Hillary Clinton in federal court regarding the ongoing email account controversy. The Washington Times reports that lawyers told a judge that Clinton was within her legal rights to use her personal email account, take her messages with her after leaving office, and decide which could be returned for investigation. They also said that neither the Department of Justice nor the court had the obligation or the power to order the former Secretary of State to submit any other documents. The case is being investigated by the State Department, with a number of Freedom of Information Act lawsuits filed as well. Despite apologizing publicly for the first time this week, some experts say the damage has been done, with recent polls showing a decline in the presidential hopeful's popularity. Now, art collecting. Most Koreans assume it's a pastime reserved exclusively for those with ample time and lots of money to spare. Well, that may no longer be the case, really, because there's an international movement dedicated to changing that by making artworks more affordable. Our Kim Ji-yeon reports.
What's your taste in art? Don't know because you never had the chance to learn? Well, prospective buyers will have the opportunity to discover their taste by paying a visit to the affordable art fair in Seoul this weekend, with some 2,000 pieces of contemporary art on display. Visitors can apply for an hour-long free tour to help them navigate.
And if you like what you see, the prices are listed right next to the artworks. That way you can avoid the awkward situation of asking for a price and realizing that it's out of your budget. Prices here start at $420 and go roughly up to $8,000.
And although you might have set a budget and the time to look around, those who are still beginners in art-related matters, like me, would go through a hard time selecting a piece. So I asked the art fair director, Kim Yu-hee, to share some tips.
I'd advise to eye some of the smaller pieces until you're confident of what you want to buy. It can take a trial and error period to not regret your purchases, but I guarantee that the joy coming from collecting art in the end will be all worth it.
This is Korea's first affordable art fair founded by Will Ramsey. The event was first held in Britain in 1999 and has since been held in more than 15 cities around the world, including London, New York, and Hong Kong, with the aim of making art more accessible to the general public. Kim Jian, Arirang News.
Well, those are the stories we have for you at this hour. For more of the latest, don't forget to check out the website arirang.com/news. Do enjoy the rest of your weekend. Goodbye.